If you didn't know already, Digital Extreme's creators of Warframe are working on their latest passion project, Soulframe. Hello, 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 my beautiful friends. Welcome to Flaw Media. Today we'll be discussing their plans, my expectations and predictions, and whether or not this will be their best decision or their worst mistake. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and let's get into it! As mentioned before, Digital Extreme is making a new MMORPG called Soulframe. The developers have mentioned that this is ultimately a sister project to their current MMO, Warframe, which kind of insinuates that it will have a lot of the framework of it, and various statements that they have made regarding this seem to give this idea some merit, with stuff like how it's a co-op, free-to-play action hybrid MMORPG with procedurally generated locations and high focus on PvE combat. In terms of inspiration, despite what the name might imply, this is not a Souls clone. However, they did mention that Elden Ring is on their radar. This game's major focus is on themes of nature, restoration, and adventure, ultimately inspired by works like Princess Mononoke and The Never-Ending Story, specifically the collision between industry and nature. So if you haven't checked out the trailer, a link to that will be in the description. They did go ahead and mention that this is not a sequel, which makes sense because if you just watch the trailer, it kind of felt more like it had a weird prequel potential. It almost just felt like that sort of medieval fantasy that could have led up to the events of Warframe that we know today. But that's not the case either. I just thought it'd be cool. Actually, to be honest, I feel like this was a very risky direction for them to go, because this had so much, just has so much potential to have been a cool prequel that you can play through by going through a rift in the void, taking you to the past and stuff like that. You even get to see scenes of a knight that just looks like a Warframe. It really does. Actually, I think it kind of, I wish I could say which one it resembles the most of. It's it resembles a handful of them. I think there's actually a night themed skin for one of the Warframes. Maybe whoever that is that has that, maybe they're that guy. But in all seriousness, this is definitely an interesting direction for them to go. It seems like they're wanting to make they're keeping their HUD structure or their hub structure to where you would meet up all in a location to do various things or whatever. But it seems like they wanted it on the open world scope. Take locations like Cetus or Orvalis or whatever, and while you're out there in these open world planes, that is where you would pick up your missions, which you could do already, but it would be slightly different to where expect all of your missions to be out there in that open world field. They mentioned that it will have procedurally generated locations along with, this big open aspect. So I guess with it being that sort of fantasy theme, when you go into if you were to go in a dungeon or maybe a castle of some type, it would have this procedurally generated location, but outside of that, in the main center area, which would be the open world landscape, that maybe that Breath of the Wild field or feel or whatever, wouldn't have the procedurally generated location. It would just be one big location kind of. pretty much exactly what we get right now. In terms of the combat, they've mentioned that it's going to have like, it's no guns, it's just sword play, right? And how it's gonna feel a lot slower and heavier. Maybe because of the no gun aspect to it. I'm not 100% sure, but truth of the matter is, I feel like it's going to play very similar to Warframe. I really do. I think like we're just going to be like, get rid of guns, period, right? So things are going to already feel a little bit slower, just a little bit, and then like dial up the enemies to be maybe more resilient to your attacks, to make it have that slower pace, and then like expect to have like your maybe your 4 abilities again, something similar to that regard. It would be kind of cool to be able to like pick and choose like of a big list. Like imagine like what we have now with like Warframe, but instead of like choose the Warframe for your set 4 abilities, it's more of take all of the Warframes we have right now, whatever number that is, and then multiply it by 4, and then you would have like a total of like, so I'm gonna just like pick a random number. I don't know what number we are on with Warframe, but I'm gonna pick like 48, and then I'm gonna multiply that by 40. Right? That's over 1,000 powers. That's almost 2,000 powers right now. Wait, why'd I do that? No, that doesn't make any sense. It would be 4. It's 100. It's almost 200. So yeah, it's, you get 200 powers to choose from. I think that could be, I mean, you could gate lock something like that to where it's like you know your 4 is like you have to choose among the ones that are set for your 4. Like you can't like have an entire list of all ultimates pretty much. I'm kind of expecting something like this. I'm also expecting something very Ghost of Tsushima-y in terms of the overall ambient and vibe, considering what they said that they're trying to go with their current angle. But ultimately, this also comes down to like the real question is like, is this the best thing for them to be doing? A lot of people are super excited about it, but how I see it is that, no offense to Warframe fans or anything of that sort, and you know, it is a very popular game. However, in comparison to the mainstream games, it's not, right? And I think a lot of the people that will be going to Soulframe will be the initial people that mainly play MMOs. It will be the person that's looking for their new MMO home, whatever, right? But a lot of those people will just be temporarily moving over, but then ultimately going back to whatever game, right? I feel like people currently do that with Warframe already. And I feel like with Soulframe, it will end up pulling the people that play Warframe over to Soulframe, because why wouldn't it? Soulframe will give you that ability to establish yourself in an MMO, you know, those long format games early on. MMOs ultimately kind of died in terms of new ones coming out a while ago, back when, you know, online games first like allowed for multiplayer. There's a reason why there's so many people playing Fortnite, right? It's something that works, right? And so MMOs died out in terms of getting those new people invested or interested because they were already so big. And then it just seemed like it seems overwhelming. So I do think that there will be a lot of people interested in this, but I also feel like this is going to potentially strongly damage the Warframe community. And people will be dedicated to games. They always are. It's just I see potential backlash. But you know what? I am more than interested in being proven wrong. Also, DE, since you be handing out some alphas, alpha keys and stuff like that, I wouldn't mind alpha keying, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.